Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um, I wanted to start first by telling to everyone who are joining us online or otherwise that WeSock will be on May 11th, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the theme for this WeSock is Pray for the World. And I want to begin by talking about some of the topic that we had already touched upon, because as it stands right now, we have some global planetary events that are causing discomfort for many of us around the world. The tariff war that's going on between the US and other countries has dropped the stock market as of yesterday, $6 billion, $6 trillion. It's a huge dip. And it's causing all kinds of unease in certain markets, supermarket in the US. People who have homes, who have basement, are buying in bulk, and they're emptying the shelves, causing supply chain issues for other people because they're hoarding stuff. And it's a reaction from fear, of course. And there are all kinds of things that this may trigger on all of us. And I wanted to talk about before I talk about the planetary karma, I want to bring to your attention the channeling that we received in January from the Galactic Region Council about the future. And let me actually bring it up on your screen. And it is actually, the channeling itself is called Remembering Your Way Home, Prediction 2025 by the Galactic Region Council. This is from the website, on my website, I am Monad. So, and I'm going to read 2 paragraphs to you, and then I'll make some comments. These are disorienting times, and the challenges, fears, and existential crises that you face are opportunity for you to let go of the illusion of the 3D. When your 3D self-reliance fails, you will find strength, healing, and power in the emerging and transcendental knowing of the higher dimensions. Once found, that strength, will, and power will temper your consciousness to command the forces of nature and to open up the gates into the new earth at the moment of the galactic equator crossing. And related to this, and about prediction for the future, here is what the Lord Mercure, who I was channeling through this transmission, said. Notable is the rebalancing of planetary wealth. How exchange occur on Earth is not equitable, and that will be corrected, causing many to lose and others to gain. The world's financial system will begin to be restructured. Stopgap measures and fixes of the existing system will be proposed but will fail. This will eventually lead into a system that will not be based on death, but on the collective fulfillment and happiness. Great and influential countries will implode from within as their past karma comes demanding correction. World leaders will lose power and influence. So I wanted to talk about these 2 things because as I witnessed yesterday, the demonstration that were happening all around the US and globally, as I looked at the what's happening with the market, I became very aware of the communication I receive. And I have to tell you this, and I've said this before. When you see the future, you're changed by it. There is a burden when you receive prediction and communication, and when you're seeing it landing and happening, it triggers you in a very specific way. And I have to remain outside of it because I'm also human. I have weaknesses and I'm also in the flesh. If I allow myself, I will become the biggest militant and I will go out on the street and start doing a lot of crazy things that will keep me out of alignment and neutrality, and that will cause me to derail and go off, completely off. And I will land somewhere that I don't want to land. So knowing this, and this is what I've been trying to tell all of you, we need to spend more time in prayer. We need to spend more time in meditation, and we need to learn how to surrender what we cannot change. Now, the final thing that he said, okay, and I'm going to go back to the channeling. This is the very end of the channeling, what the Lord Mercure said. Having said a lot of things about the earth changes, at the very bottom, he said, in the year to come, many will experience great fear arising from loud, threatening external events and circumstances. Stand fast in your spiritual practice, for God is in charge of everything. Everything that you're experiencing is permitted to happen by God. Stop being afraid, for you are anointed by God, and no harm will come to you. Rest in that knowing and calm down. Let God guide your path safely into higher consciousness. And to me, that's the part that I'm trying to hold on to and I'm trying to maintain in my practice, not to allow myself to be triggered. I'm not listening to the news still. When I go on YouTube, I see a title, a thumbnail. I just look at the thumbnail, but I don't click on the news clips. I don't go and start listening because it's gonna hit me in a certain way, and I'm gonna go emotional, and I'm gonna go off the rail. Particularly when you're an empath and you're an empath like me, you pick up a lot of things. And I have to be very careful because I end up having all these crazy dreams that are not my part of my own karma, but I keep picking up the group karma, the collective karma, the fear that the whole planet is feeling. What everyone on Earth is, or in America is feeling right now, or even in or neighboring countries are feeling right now. I'm picking it all up, and I'm derailing, and it's hurting my own psyche and my own peace of mind. For me to remain at peace, I have to disconnect. I have to find a way, an off switch to say, I'm not going to allow myself, I have to maintain my boundaries, right? And I wanted to read the channeling to make you understand that although I've been accused many, many times before, since I've been giving the channeling from the Galactic Vision Council in 2013, people have been saying that I'm fear-mongering because of what has been predicted. But look at what's happening outside your door at this moment. Look at what's happening in the world at this very moment. Things that they have predicted are happening. And therefore, it's not fear-mongering if you're telling the truth and people are actually experiencing this. You mean at the time people did not want to hear it, but it was the truth. Moreover, and this is the key, everything that's happening in the world right now, including the destabilization of the stock market, because the stock market implies a lot of things, not only for people who have money, but for someone who's working and has a 401k for their retirement. If that account plummets to half its value, you're not going to have the retirement that you thought you were going to have. So it's extremely important. And this could create not only it could create not only a recession in the US, but it could create a global recession. If there is tariff on all sides and their exchange and trade cannot happen the right way, therefore it will create a financial collapse. This is what he was saying, that this year is the year where this, from seeing it in the future horizon, that this is the year where this our exchange system was going to be restructured. And there will be and the events are happening right now that will lead to that restructuring. And because of this, great nation will collapse, will implode from within. And so he's saying things without not saying it, because I can feel him during the channeling. There were certain things he didn't want to say to not trigger a lot of fear. And he withheld himself and talked in generalities, in broad strokes, so that if you can read between the lines, you will be able to understand what he's saying. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I need to remain more and more in my prayer. And again, I had spoken about this about 2 weeks ago, this idea of being in your personal power. I want to go into some more details about that, because this is the only way you can maintain, and I've done it for more than 21 days. It is chapter 3 in the Primer for Ascension. If you don't have this, you really should get it, because it will help you tremendously. It's a 21-day program that allows you, by calling upon certain collective and doing certain things before you go to bed, during the day, and reading like 12 lines of affirmation, it allows you to remain in your personal power. And the reason for this is because we belong to the collective unconscious of all humanity, the group body, the egregore of humanity. When the planet is in fear and is afraid of all kind of financial disaster happening, and people have difficulty, prices starts going up, what's going to happen is that it's going to trigger major fear to the group body, the psychic entity that composes the group body of the collective unconscious. And that fear is going to infect every members. It's already happening to all of us. Because, and the way we described it is that a lot of us sometimes we wake up and we feel that there is a perimeter or background fear of some kind, or rage or anger of some kind. And we have difficulty pinpoint where it is or where it's coming from initially, until you begin, if you are discerning enough, you can begin to ask, is this coming from me or is it from the outside? And this is the problem, is that initially you don't realize it's not from you. You begin to think that it's because I'm not doing my practice good enough. It's because I need to add something to it. I'm not doing it correctly. But when you spend the time, for me, I know, for me, it happened. I spent 2 weeks thinking that I was not personally, it was personal to me. Then finally I asked, is this coming from me or is it from the outside? It was clear. It's not yours. It's the outside. You're picking up something that's in the group body. And because it's coming from the group body, I don't have the power to completely disconnect without help from higher entities. And there are 2 major things that I had done, and I'm going to remind you again for you to do in order for you to disconnect, because it's going to get more intense. This is only the beginning. When I saw the amount of protests from all over America, every city, and also in Europe, I am reminded of part of the challenge that a few years ago, where the Galactic Region Council were talking about street riots. Okay? And I know it's going to escalate into that. Because the more people lose, right now it's very calm. There was no riot. Everybody was orderly. It was perfect. It was just several protests. It was perfect. But it's going to escalate into something else. When I get these communications, sometimes I get vision. I had the vision of the people in the street, and it flashes and it triggers me in a very specific way. Where I get chills and I have like, okay, I gotta push this image back, because once you see the future, you cannot unsee it. There's nothing you can do. There's no eraser that you can take that could cause it to go away. The feeling, the emotion, and then what happened? And if you look at it too much, you're gonna bring yourself to it. You're gonna magnetize it. You're gonna bring it into focus. So I have to be very careful that I don't do this to myself. And I have to stay away and remain as non-attached as possible. So the thing to do is first to query yourself. When you're feeling these emotions and this feeling, it feels like some yucky, weird sensation that doesn't, because the days before that you were fine with your spiritual practice, and then you begin to feel some strange and bizarre thing. For me, I begin to sense it in my perimeter. Either as I'm waking up in the morning or even when I'm doing my meditation, it's like a dark cloud that's kind of hovering around me. And then eventually my boundaries are breached and I can feel it inside of myself. And as it be, and I'm trying to do everything possible. I'm like, we do double your practice. We do this. We do. What can I do to get it out? The first thing that you can do is that you have to identify if it belongs to you or if it's from the outside. That's the first. Do not claim it as being yours. Don't say I have a and whatever the feeling is. I'm angry, or I feel victimized. I feel it's not what you're feeling. What it is that you have an intrusion in your core. And the way you do this is that you query and you begin to ask yourself, is this coming from me? Is this sensation coming from my own, from a weakness or an imbalance in my own spiritual psychology? Or is it from the outside, from the group body? And since energy doesn't lie, if you stay quiet after asking that question, the truth will come to you and you will know. And if it's coming from the outside, there are two main important things that you need to do. The first one is that you need to, chapter 3 of Primer for Ascension, you need to do that chapter by doing the personal power program. And the way you do this is by first, while you go, it's 4 things that you need to do. And 3 of them you can actually do, multitask them while you're doing other things. By just thinking of the collective, and you're going to ask for assistance, and you're going to also say affirmation. Now, the reason for this is that our personal power, you give up your personal power because you begin to believe that the negative feeling that's coming for the group body, you begin to accept it as being yours, instead of saying it's from the outside, it doesn't belong to me. This is why you have to query first to separate it from yourself. When you realize it's not yours, what you need to do is that you need to begin in the evening before you go to sleep. As you're pulling the sheets over your head or you're getting into bed, silently repeat to yourself, Master Dwakul, ground in me the core fear matrix removal programming, and remove from me all program, sub-programming, related program that are trying to erode my personal power. Second, and then go to sleep and do and add the sentence to it and do this continuously. And it's extremely important to say continuously. Do this continuously for the entire night. Because he respects you so much, if you ask him to remove this, he will remove 1 layer. And there are multiple layers that collapse. If you think about it, 8 billion people's fear you're picking up. There are multiple layers to this. Right? So that's a deletion program. You're asking Master Dwakul to delete all these things. When you wake up in the morning, before you get yourself out of bed to go to the bathroom, immediately ask the Mahatma, which is a collective of all souls who have ascended all the entire for the entire universe. It's a giant collective. The Mahatma, Lord Melchizedek, and Archangel Metatron. And you ask them to run their platinum light net through your full body system and to remove from you all misqualified and unbalanced energies. And then go to the bathroom, do your thing in the morning. And whilst, for me, when I'm getting out of the bathroom, I finish my shower, I'm toweling myself, I then ask Archangel Michael to come in and to create a golden armor of light and protection and to wrap me and my entire subconscious mind and spiritual psychology with this impenetrable force field of light that will allow only the light of God to come in and that no external intrusion can penetrate. None whatsoever. External or internal, meaning by that coming from a subconscious mind through the group body. If you can imagine, we have three minds. We have the subconscious mind, we have the I, the chooser, the conscious mind, and we have the superconscious mind. We want the superconscious mind to be open to what's coming from God. The I, the chooser, my conscious mind, I need to have Archangel Michael, bubble of light around, and the subconscious mind, where all these programs, things that you repeat over and over again, subconsciously, suggested things that happened in your past that can begin to be backdoor through which collective and group karma can come in. Let's say my issue in my life, because of the way I grew up in my childhood, was I felt victimized. So the external events that are happening now is going to trigger that back door that will make you feel also victimized, because externally you're seeing it. So your body mirrors it and resonates with it, and it becomes a back door through which the intrusion comes into your core. So the idea is to say that my subconscious mind that has all these back doors, I am putting Archangel Michael golden bubble of light around it so that nothing can enter without my consent, without me agreeing. I'm not allowing anything in. And you have to be strong like that. You have to be, and after doing this, go about your busy your day. What I do is that right before I start my prayer, I light my candle, put my incense down in the morning. After I'm done with that, I get dressed and I'm ready for my prayer. I take my book out. I go to the chapter 3, the page. I'll tell you what page it is. Page 48 and 49. And I read these affirmations. I am the power, the master of the cause of my attitude, feelings, emotions, and behavior. I am 100% powerful, loving, and balanced at all times. I am powerful, whole, and complete within myself. I have preferences, but not attachment. I am 100% powerful and decisive in everything that I do. I have perfect mastery and controls over my energies in service of a loving spiritual purpose. I am the master and director of my life, and my subconscious mind is my friend and my servant. I am a center of pure self-consciousness and will, with the ability to direct my energies whenever I would have them go. I am powerful, centered, and loving at all time. I am powerful, centered at all time, and nothing in this external universe will I allow to knock me off balance or off-centered. I have 100% personal power, and I vow never to give it to my subconscious mind and other people ever again. I have perfect self-control and self-mastery in everything that I do. And that's your program for the day. Except that if during the day you begin to feel encroachment, that your boundaries are going to be breached again, you ask the Mahatma to come back. And Mahatma, Lord Melchizedek, and Archangel Metatron, shortcut the 3M, because their name start with M, the 3M, ask them to run their platinum lead through you to remove all disqualifying unbalanced energies, and then ask Archangel Michael to create the bubble around your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, so that you don't allow subconscious content or backdoor to open up and be triggered by external event. If you do this for 21 days, before the 21 days, by the 5th, 6th day, you're going to feel so much better. When you wake up in the morning, you're going to feel you have a pep in your step. You're going to be disconnected to the group body, and your boundaries will be reestablished. Any questions, any comments about this process?
I just up here would say exactly what you did. I would verify that it has been a big help to me. And on a couple of occasions, as you said, I found this feeling returning in the afternoon and repeated the process, which cleared it right away. So I was just going to give a testimony to that effect, and also to say that in terms of what back door might be opening to allow those encroachments of the collective, that I this afternoon discovered that in a meditation, that when I was facing an issue that I've been working on for forever, it seems, that I asked if this is what God would think of that emotional issue. Is this from God? Would God agree with this? And if it, and it, of course, it wasn't. So then I had to come to then a place of switching my own internal dialogue to match God, because why should I not? And make that leap into truth instead of continuing to repeat the lies. So that also, I think, closed some back doors, maybe, that would allow the collective traumas and emotional set point from coming in. But the personal power program has been very effective for me.
For me as well, Janice, I'm glad for the testimony, because a lot of times people don't believe you when you tell them to do it, because it seems so simple and so but do it with this discipline and the rigor that needs to be done. You're going to thank me for this, because you will notice the dramatic difference where your consciousness is. Thank you for that. And the other thing I want to add to this, the other way to deal with this, in addition to that, particularly when the karma of the collective, particularly if the collective is close to you. Sometimes we're triggered by things that are happening in the world, but sometimes they're closer. If it's ancestral and familial, it's going to be more complicated. You won't have the same detachment you have to, let's say, global financial restructuring, which is something big that you and I cannot change, right? And we can always try to let go of the fear and give it to God. But if it's something that relates to your relationship with loved one, family members, and all that, it's going to be a little more complicated. And when it gets to that kind of karma, I call upon the karmic board. Okay? And the karmic board is a special collective. Karma in itself is, it's not punishment. I know the average person on the planet think karma, when they talk about, that's your karma, they're thinking about punishment. Because you did this, that you're getting punished. This is not about karma, because there's such a thing as good karma, and there's such a thing as bad karma. People who seems to have streaks of luck or all kinds of goodness, or it's because they've deposited positive things in in the cosmic bank account, their cosmic bank account. And the negative karma has to do with action that were not ascended that you've taken in the past. And the way the universe works is that you sow what you reap. Did I say this correctly, or is it the reverse? You reap what you sow, either. You reap what you sow. And so the way it works is that if you throw something at someone, let's take a ball, for example, and you're playing paddleball, you hit the wall. When you hit the wall, the same force with which you hit with the racket, you hit the wall, that force is going to equally bounce back toward you. This is the way karma works. And karma in Sanskrit does not mean to be a victim or to be punished. It's not an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. It's rather, it means tikkun in Hebrew, and that translates into correction and repair. So if you did something that was unascended and the bouncing ball is coming back to you, it is your opportunity to make change and repair. That's what karma means. It means to repair and to correct. So all of these imbalances that the whole planet is going through, including us, because all karma is getting accelerated, all individual karma. And again, it's to separate your own personal karma from the karma of the planet, right? That you're doing, asking, is this from me or is this from the outside? But in addition to that, you need to also, if it's for people who you have been karmically entangled with for multiple lifetimes, like your family members, you have pitched marble with them in multiple lifetimes, you have been with them over and over again, trying to balance things and learn how to receive and give in the right manner. Sometimes the relationship was so complex and feels so ancient and old that we have to ask the assistance of the karmic board as a, think of the karmic board almost like a divorce court or some sort of jury. We ask the karmic board to adjudicate the proper balancing of that energy. When the repair and the correction needs to be done, it has, particularly when people you have old entanglement with, it has to be done on all sides. And sometimes it's so complex that you don't have the clarity to see what is the right, what is the repair, what is the correction, what are you supposed to say or do. I've had students who have come up with, or I've seen around me behave in all kinds of bizarre and incorrect manner. And I've held my peace because I couldn't remember what I was supposed to do, what I did wrong in the past life, and what I was supposed to do correctly in this lifetime so that I don't have to repeat this again. And it took a while for one student, like 3 years of like chaos. And I've said nothing. And the moment the memory came, I was able to take the proper action and say what I'm supposed to say to close the chapter and let the karma walk away from having in the future chaotic entanglement. And so the karmic board is a collective of 8 beings, a celestial being, who are there to try to adjudicate and also administer the proper functioning of the tikkun, of the repair and the correction. You have first the divine director. The divine director is a cosmic being. He's not from this universe. He's a multi-universal being. He's from multiple universes simultaneously, and he's there to try to help us. He's the overseer of this group, of this collective. You have Mother Mary, who is the Mother of Mercy. You have Lady Kuan Yin, who is the female Buddha, the Bodhisattva of compassion and of mercy. Her name, Kuan Yin, means she who hears the suffering of the world. You have Pallas Athena, the goddess of truth. You have Lady Portia, who was administering cosmic justice during the medieval time. Lady Nada, the self-effacing ascended master. You have then Elohim Cyclopia, Lady Justice, whose justice is, the administration of her justice is blind. She holds the scale. And then finally you have Elohim Cyclopia, who, the Elohims are a very specific being. They are not angels in the sense that angels usually administer, take action. They are usually, the Elohim actually create the structure, the divine structure. They create blueprint and patterns through which all laws operate. And for the Elohim Cyclopia, it's the law of truth and justice. Notice that they don't play the same functions. One is about truth, the other one is about applying blind justice. Another one is, another one creates the structure through which, the blueprint through which it's administered. And so often enough, when you have this kind of entanglement that are triggering you so much, you may want to call upon the calming board and ask them to come in to help you with that situation that you're having with someone that you care for deeply, to adjudicate and to give you, to help you find the repair and the resolution, particularly if it's something you've been repeating, because we're not as smart as we think we are. If you have sight and you're able to go and past that, you'll realize with family members particularly, you're repeating the same thing. We're echoing the past over and over. It takes sometimes 10, if not more lifetime before we finally realize, I can't do it this way anymore. I keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So calling upon the calming board to help you to terminate and balance these energies in an ascended manner, so that instead of having toxic energies between you and other people, particularly ancestors and family members, you want to have only love and light. They are the body that can help you find this. Any questions, any comments? Again, they are not, I didn't know that the calming board could do all of this. I knew of the calming board, but I didn't know they could do all of this until I had a very difficult case with a client that was so complex and so complicated, and it had been millions of years of the same behavior being repeated. And whilst I was doing a healing for the client, out of nowhere, Lady Kuan Yin stepped in and started talking for the calming board and started to lead the healing toward the repair of the tikkun, the repair of the karma, so that toxicity can dissipate and mercy can show up. And because karma without mercy becomes extremely cruel. There has to be mercy. There has to be compassion. There has to be truth. There has to be insight into motives on both sides, so that the balance can be found and Lady Justice can rule. And when that rule is done, then the equitable rebalancing can happen. I'm saying this all to you because I'm gonna be honest with you. Situations are gonna get worse planetarily. All kinds of crazy things that were impossible are gonna be possible. And we're gonna witness things that are gonna be quite triggering. And we have to find a way to, I've shared this before, that ascension is a thin line that exists between doing and surrendering. And particularly now with all the triggers that we're going to be getting from the environment and from the good body and from, people who are emotionally close to us, we're going to have to find a way to exist in that thin line. You're going to be triggered, and as you get triggered, you're going to go off. And while the first paragraph that I read from the channeling, he was saying, Lord Melchior was saying, as the self-reliance on your five senses and meaning the stability of the 3D reality begins to fail you, you're going to have to depend on that inner knowing, that emerging knowing. And that will create an opportunity for you. In other words, every event, including what's happening planetarily now with the global finance and all of that, are opportunities for us to find a safe passage into that emerging awareness. It is a way, in other words, every event where you feel an encroachment, where you feel something coming in, you struggling and saying no and going back into your power. It's you training yourself so that you can, at the moment of the galactic equator crossing, you can have the discipline, the will, the power to stand fast and hold yourself connected to that emerging thing that's coming from the higher densities, instead of relying only on your five senses and jump into survival. And I'm unsafe and I need to run and I need to flee, that kind of thing. Any questions, any comments? Now, I have to tell you honestly that that galactic equator crossing is an unusual cosmological event. As the Milky Way galaxy is a reasonably flat galaxy, the thickness of which is about 100 light years across, top and bottom is basically flat. But the galactic sheet is not level. It's undulating all the time. It's wobbling, it's undulating all the time. And as it undulates, star systems, including our own, wobble and move, stay in the core, and then move up, and then sometimes move down. In a specific cyclical pattern, and that cyclical pattern allow peaks and valleys where the whole solar system either elevate above the sheet or runs down below it, to happen every 31 million years. We are approaching the seventh peak where the solar system is about to face the light of the galactic equator, because otherwise we are in the middle, which is densely populated by planets and stars. So, and since we are in the outer pinwheel of the Milky Way galaxy, our solar system does not receive light directly from our galaxy's core, which is in Sagittarius B. And that core has a black hole in it. But it's not just a black hole, black hole has the event horizon that absorb all of the planet and stars and including light. But at the other end, there's also a white hole that eject all of that. And it is actually a nursery for evolutionary change and transformation. It's a nursery for growth. It's a nursery for accelerated evolution. So in this galactic year, and one galactic year is 250 million years, one rotation of our solar system around that black hole in Sagittarius B, or the galactic core. And this is the seventh wobble, the seventh kind of like galactic equator crossing. And when that happened, major evolutionary change, whoever faces the light of the galactic equator directly their growth will be accelerated. Now, how that growth falls upon us, how it affects us, will depend on our own individual preparation. For those of us who are not ready, who are living, completely in the 3D, or completely grounded in what our five senses, or living in our pleasure body or pain body, or going after our own external ego satisfaction. When you face that light, it will terrify you, because the differential between what that light would like you to be at and where you are is so vast that most of us will be terrified by it, and it will shame us. It will shame these people into traveling to a reality that will match them, a pocket reality, a parallel reality that will give them enough time to evolve. Whereas those of us, all of us here who are doing all this hard work of querying, or spiritual practice and all the stuff that we're doing, we're going to be facing it with more preparation because we have done the groundwork already. Remember, every event that's triggering us is an opportunity for us to listen to a deeper inner knowing, which is the light of the galactic equator, and to familiarize ourselves with that connection. And so when that crossing occurs, we will be more acquiescent and ready to listen to it and allow it to take us to a higher world. Whereas people who are not really ready for it because they have too much shame and they spend too much time following their hedonistic pleasures, they've spent too much time doing other things, they will not get the same kind of grace and benefit. They're going to go somewhere else. I have said before, on contrary to what many people are believing, that is left between versus right, it's this group, for like it's a bifurcation in the road. It's not a bifurcation. There are at least 8 identifiable parallel realities that's on the horizon. And in the channeling, he mentioned all of them. There are 8 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
The parallel realities all still exist on our current planet, right? Earth. The new Earth, however, that we will be hopefully able to transition toward is a different body, a different planetary body, isn't it?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to follow the channeling that we've received. The channeling is saying when we cross the galactic equator, it will appear that the sun disappear, meaning for 3 days, the planet will be in darkness. And when that period ends, the sun will return, but we are not sure if it's going to be the same sun. And I'm glad you're asking about this, Janice, because there's a lot in there. There's a lot. The last channeling revealed quite a bit, a lot. And I got, what's the best way to say it? I wrote down what I was told, but I received much more than the words because there were feelings, emotion, and things that I couldn't write, right? So I can share that with you right now since we're talking about this. Uh, when we are going to be in that darkness, we are being asked to stay indoor and remain, close all the curtain. Do not trust your five senses because your five senses are going to tell you all kinds of terrifying things are happening around you. And if you believe them, you're going to go to the wrong place. And the reason you have to stay indoor, because you're going to see visually all kind of strange light and things, shadows. And in addition to that, you're going to also hear howling and all kinds of strange sensation in your body are going to also occur. I heard the howling. I saw the sight during my connection with Melchior for a brief moment, not too much because it was too, okay, the best way I can say it, it was nauseating. Okay? If you can imagine the encroachment we talked about when the perimeter is breached and you can feel something intruding inside of you, imagine this exponentially everywhere. That's what's going to happen during the 3 days of darkness. Okay? However, if you remain in prayer, if you keep doing your personal power for the 3 days, if you keep praying to God and the celestial masters, because at that point, and the reason for all these small little events of encroachment that are happening right now, it's to temper our spirit, our will, and our power, so that at the moment of the galactic equator, we can stand it for 3 days. We are being prepared by God and the universe for that transit. One can think of the 3 days of darkness as a as a moment of divergence, but it also is a moment of a fair redistribution and separation of individual into pocket parallel universes, although now they overlap each other on Earth, because you can see people who are the anarchists who are trying to destroy everything. You can see the people who are the hedonistic. You can see the people who are the do-nothing people. They don't want to change nothing. You can see the people who are trying to fix the 3D. You can see all of this, right? But it's going to come a point after the 3 days of darkness where the people who are on that each individual buses will land into a place that will seem to be a new world. And the way all of the seers who have said this, including the native shamans who have seen this, they said, but we're not sure if it's going to be the same Earth. There is no, it will appear that we will separate from everyone else. For those of us who are really trying to get to the new Earth, to the higher densities, and listen with all resiliency and asking and praying to God, give me safe passage into the new Earth, we will land somewhere. And it will appear, and according to the channeling that I had received before, it looked like it's going to be 1,000, what is it, 1,479 light years away from where we are on Earth. And it's going to be somehow Earth-like, but not exactly Earth. Did that answer your question, Janice?
Yes, it certainly sounds like it's not going to be the same planetary body, although the stacking of different dimensions will take place here on Earth. It's sounding like this is going to be, and that 3 days sounds a little bit like the birth canal going to
Mm-hmm.
from being born anew into a new earth
Yep.
and transitioning physically as well.
I think the analogy of a birth canal is fair because it feels like you're going to a dark uh, vortex of some kind. That's the impression I had when I connected with it very briefly. And again, it felt exponentially worse than any other intrusion I've ever felt because it was coupled not just with a feeling, but there was um, at an exponential level, but there was sound and lights and shadows, terrifying shadows that would inflate fears. And I'm saying this because even the Galactic Region Council said it. I'm going to read it again for you. And I thought he was tongue in cheek when he said this because he was in my head when I was connecting with him. He actually laughed a little bit when he said this. This galactic This galactic equator crossing will be a pivotal time when the galactic sheet will crest your planet and solar system to bathe directly in the light of the galactic core for 3 days. These maximum peaks and valleys created by the wave and the ripples of the galactic sheet are cyclical and occur 8 times during one galactic year, which is 250 million years in duration. This one will be the 7th of this galactic year. These moments are powerful catalysts that can accelerate growth and cause powerful shift in evolutionary change. With the right intention in your heart and a reconfigured and strengthened consciousness, you can find safe passage to the realm and the reality that you resonate with. At the moment of the galactic equator crossing and the 3 days of darkness, you will not be able to trust your 5 senses. The sun will disappear and the world will be in darkness. You will hear howling sounds that will be as loud as thunderclaps, and you will see strange lights and horrible vision. They will generate deep fear, and if you remain in that fear, you will travel to the wrong realities. Instead, stay indoors, close your blinds and curtains, and at that time, you will need to demonstrate the mastery of your spiritual practice over the previous years and broadcast the transcendent frequencies of your authentic core. Your overcoming of these catastrophic events in previous years will now help you generate a beacon that will traverse this doorway and take you to the reality that match your core vibratory signature. And here is the part where I heard him slightly chuckle. And he said in the next paragraph, I know this all sounds like fairy tale to you, but when this happened, for it will, and I heard him chuckling when he said this, remember what we just said. Stay indoors with windows closed and remain in prayer. Don't trust your 5 senses, but lean on the transcendented knowing that is within you. After 3 days, the sun will return and you will find yourself in your elevated destination. I have to say to you that receiving this channeling for Lord Melchior, he comes every once in a while. Typically speaking, like the year before that, the channeling we receive, if you go back on the library, on the blog, on the website, it was extremely technical. A wave function, claps, and that or the other. That was extremely technical about it. And I know, you remember, the Galactic Region Council is composed of a collective of 12 galactic elders. And typically one of them show up and speak for the group, but they speak to their own filter. Melchior is our current logos, meaning our plan. They separate the entire galactic core into 12 slices, if you can think of them this way. And we are traversing the slice that's under the governance of or the regency of Lord Melchior. And he seems to be much more personal and much more kind and much more connected to our own humanity. Whereas whomever, I don't even know which ascended master showed up last year, it was so technical. It talked about the multiple, the reversal of the magnetic north, and at which point there will be multiple north to south pole, and east from north to south pole is a different reality, and they will peel off and go into somewhere else. It was extremely technical. And that channeling, I feel, was not for the average person on the planet who doesn't have a clue about any of these things. It was for the 144,000. Whereas this channeling is Lord Mercury trying to communicate to a broader audience and to allow people who don't have the years of training from the Galactic Regent Council or for Lord Melchizedek to be included in the conversation. So this one is a little bit broader, softer, and kinder. I remember Lord Mercury one time, this is years ago, when we were doing research upstate at the Hill, the resort in the Catskills. And I remember he started saying too much. And he even said it, and I could feel it, that he was being slightly scolded by the other ascended masters, by the other galactic masters, that he was saying too much. And he even said it. He said, I'm being told to stop talking because I'm saying too much. Any other questions or comments?
Okay, was thinking as you're talking about uh, the challenges that we are facing now, and increasingly so up until that galactic equator crossing, which are preparations really for that great event. And it is, I was just reminded, I was reminding myself that it is through the challenges that there's growth, and it's not always the easy times that we should be looking at um, as a blessing, but the difficult times as well, because through those times we have much greater opportunity to grow and improve ourselves. Isn't that true?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Everything that we face between now and the galactic equator is for our benefit.
Mhm.
Stop saying, why is this happening to me? And start saying to yourself, why is this happening for me? Because it is for your benefit.
Mhm.
You're not a victim. None of us are. We're being trained for something. When I was part of the swimming team years ago in college, the coach was extremely rough on us, but it was for our benefit.
Absolutely. And I had another thought question about fear. Is I have heard said that the definition of courage is not absence of fear, but not letting that stop you. And I relate to that as a performer on stage, you have the stage fright that inevitably hits before the performance, but it doesn't stop you from going out and delivering the performance. Uh, you just learn to work with it, I guess, to live with it, to understand that it's a normal part of the process, but it just heightens your in awareness of things, so it intensifies uh, your senses in some way.
Yeah, the theme of evolution for your entire universe is courage.
Mm.
It's not for just for the Earth or for the galaxy, the entire universe. It's courage.
Although you had said that it is what's in our hearts that will determine the reality or the new earth that we go to, uh, not what's in our conscious mind. So, in that sense, moving forward through the fear, not letting it stop us, with a greater understanding that it is a normal part of this transition process, like walking out on stage is a normal part of that process, modifies it a little, well, considerably, I would say, but it is not enough that's in then our hearts to move us to a reality that would be more fear-based, would it be?
Yeah, I think it is indeed true that in other words, there's a lot of people that we lie to ourselves all the time. So if you're not self-reflective, if you're not doing inner work, you're not going to go really what's in your heart because you're lying to yourself. I know so many people that I see, you can see them online or you can see them in your friends, your neighbors. They're saying that they're Christian or they are good people, blah, blah, blah. And their behavior with what's happening around the world, what they are aligning with is anarchy. And someone who is of light and God would never choose this, would never support this. And you can tell that there is a cognitive dissonance between what they think they are and their behavior. Their words and their action do not match. And so it's clear that in this instance that you may profess that you're of light and you're 5D being and you have all this connection to angel and ascended masters, but if in your behavior you're existing in your ego or your desire body, or you're existing in a fear-based that's using religion as a way to subjugate and enslave people, or then you're going to go exactly to a place that matches that. Because the energy of the galactic equator, when it shows up, it will strip all of these complex self-deceiving mechanism, and it will strip it down to the truth. Remember, the frequency, that's the bridge that's connecting us to that galactic equator, is truth, authenticity, and transparency. So if you're not in truth with yourself, if you're not transparent to yourself, if you're not truly authentic within yourself, no matter what you think you are in your head, you're not going to be in that bus. You're going to be somewhere else. So we have to understand this, and this is why I am so insistent in emotional intelligence, social intelligence, the query, having inner conversation, because this is the only way that we can end up in the right place. And that's why we are praying at the moment of the galactic equator crossing for safe passage. We're asking the ascended masters, because it's very easy to let yourself be distracted by and again, this is the role of the adversary, to create enough chaos on the outside to keep you distracted. And all of a sudden, you're lying to yourself. You don't even know you're doing it. Now, I know the path that I teach, a lot of people have said to me, it's too complicated. There's too much inner work and too much self-reflection, all that. I don't know any true spiritual path that doesn't do this. Now, I have to say to you, a lot of people who are complaining like that are spiritually lazy. They want something that they can blink their eye and it's going to happen, and then they consequently don't. There's a lot of entitlement. Like I'm already a 5D being. I'm originally from Andromeda or from Arcturus or from Sirius B or from and therefore I'm automatically going to go there. Not true. You may have descended from there, but if you don't do that kind of work, you're not going to end up there. You have to be so transparent to yourself and existing truth and realize, wait a minute, I am living too much in my ego. I am too much of a victim. I have my word, what I say I am, and my behavior have to match exactly. And if they're not matching, there is a dissonance between the two. I should find a way to make sure that they align. Particularly now, between now and 2030, it's critical.
Remember, though, you had channeled, I don't remember what being, who was saying, you're where you should be right now. You're not behind times. We often think we've got so far to go. We've got so much work to do. I must be way behind the timeline to be ready for this transition.
Lord Melchizedek, yes. Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. And that gave me courage as well.
Well, and let me just say this to you. At the time that Lord Melchizedek was saying this, he came and gave us an initiation. He was talking specifically to the collective that were at the WISAC.
Oh, oh, I see.
It's not for the rest of the world. You understand? Because the rest of the world, a lot of people are doing different things.
Oh, oh, I see what you mean. Oh, yes. But those of us and perhaps other groups that are
Yeah,
doing their own
doing the deep work. For the people who are doing the deep work, you're right where you're supposed to be. That's correct.
that is t extremely encouraging to me because we tend to always feel that
You didn't do enough? Yeah. Mea
we're
culpa,
doing
mea
enough.
culpa. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I know, I know. Self-flagellating. I'm not good enough. The original bread of shame.
Yeah.
For me, I've shared this with you before that when I read, when I was a young boy, I read Alexandre Dumas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Le Bossu de Notre Dame. I cried like a baby because I was the hunchback. That's what
Mm,
I saw.
mm,
It was me.
yeah.
Because I was so different from everybody else around me. I was so unusual that I didn't belong anywhere.
The swan in the midst of a gaggle of geese
Yes.
thinks himself inferior, but he's
Yeah.
just a supremely different and blessed
Yeah.
being.
Exactly. I cry. I read that book. I was howling.
No.
Now I understand why, but at the time I was like, I'm so different from anyone else. And when he was screaming, I'm human too. I'm like, that broke me. I need love. I'm human. I'm like, oh my God, this is, oh, so deep.
The other thing that gives me courage is that the conditions that we grew up in, our family, we chose
Yes,
that path. So we wanted to experience that and whatever growth maybe that would come through that experience, or maybe that we could use that to help others that experienced maybe similar things, is uh, somehow mitigates the problems that we suffered or didn't suffer. I didn't suffer as you did. Um, but it gives a greater perspective on a higher perspective on it.
absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of time also, I'll be honest with you, depending on the mission that you are supposed to do, a lot of ascended masters who are coming to Earth, or people who have mission or mission driven, when they come in on Earth, they choose a family where they have a lot of they can shed as much karma initially as possible, because that way they can be free to do the work afterwards. So the initial 10 or 15 or 20 years of their life, they face a lot of challenges to shed as much karma as possible so that they can repair, 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 repair. And then when they begin to do the public work, the group work, they have less obstacle in front of them. Because when you're more visible and you are more people, if you are by yourself with your family and you make a mistake, it's a small mistake. But if you have 100,000 or let's say 1,000, even 300 people that you're responsible for, and you make a mistake, a lot of more people are affected. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these masters, the reason why Gautama Buddha and a lot of these other saints, holy individual, spend all these years initially under a tree or meditating for very deeply, it's because they're saying mantra to get rid of their karma. They're doing penance to remove the shame and the undeservedness, so that they can begin to see themselves as actually an incarnated manifestation of the divine, not Quasimodo, not the swan, so that the shame can be removed, the breath shame. For example, Ama Kunormai that I saw twice already, she's coming out actually in the fall as in the end of the summer. She spent 10 years in the forest meditating to remove the karma so that she can go out and do the public work. Any other questions or comments?
Just this, we are not sitting on a mountaintop in an ashram meditating day after day after day. We are living in the real world.
Yes.
We are making our way in spite of those challenges. So I think that gains us a little extra too, that we
Yes.
become what is surrounding us. Not We're not escaping it by sitting on a. And I'm not judging those people that do, but what I'm saying is that it is, I think, worth as much to succeed in the midst of the chaos of our daily lives as it is for those that are dedicated.
It's even more complicated because you have too much to all this distraction. Absolutely. It's more complicated. There's a part of me that could go, because I did this in past life, I could go in a monastery and still spend there and be perfectly content and happy. But it would not accelerate my karma and growth to give me the inner strength, the will and the wisdom that I have gained over the past few years facing the challenges that I've faced. I would end up being connected to, yes, to a higher realm, but it would not give me that kind of like inner strength.
And the mission of your
Yes.
existence or your incarnation here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. Listen. Listen with your entire consciousness as if the more than 60 trillion cells in your body had ears. kind of information, an inner knowing. Is your body trying to tell you? Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And pay attention to your boundaries. And become aware of any potential external perimeter and group body push or intrusion that may exist in you. I call forth the karmic board, the divine director, Mother Mary, Huang Ying, Pallas Athena, Lady Portia, Lady Nada, Lady Justice, and Elohim Cyclopia. And I ask them to help disconnect for me and find the repair, the correction, and the reconciliation of my karma with the group body and with my ancestors. Help me find the path toward the tikkun help remove from my connection to this karmic bonds, the accelerated repairs, the healing to transmute all toxic connections that are ego-based into unconditional love, forgiveness, and ascendance. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. I felt the real presence through that meditation, which is very beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Great. Wonderful. I want to thank all of you for listening tonight. And for those of you who are listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. Like this video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and I'll talk to you next week. Love you so much, family. Bye.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.